Hi, I'm Benjamin. I'm 32, a real estate agent, the kind of guy who color codes his calendar and keeps granola bars in the glove box. The family's fixer, the oldest child. The Ben will handle it Guy Dot. If something leaks, breaks, or cries, I'm the first phone call. But this time, they didn't call. Asterisk the night before my vacation, I walked through my house. My quiet, earned, perfectly paid for house, checking locks and light switches. The backyard string lights came on in a soft golden hum. It looked like a life I'd finally built for myself. Mom called as I zipped my suitcase. Text when you land, and don't post too much. You know how people get jealous? I laughed. I'll be careful. By the way, she added casually, if you talk to the bank, Mom, I cut in. Let's talk later. I leave at 5. A pause, then her voice softened. Have fun, honey. For once, I did. Maui, 6 days of salt air, pineapple, and nothing urgent. I turned my phone off and let silence unclench me. On the 7th morning, I turned it back on. 19 missed calls from Mom, 12 from Dad, 7 from my sister Natalie. A text preview from Dad. Important update about the house. Call now. At first, I thought they were joking. Then I called Mom. She answered instantly. Where are you? In Maui. Why? Well, she said, almost excited. We handled something for you. What did you handle? Your house. It's sold? My fork clinked against the plate. You sold my house. You'll understand when you hear the numbers, she chirped. We took care of everything. My pulse thudded in my ears. I heard waves outside and the laugh of a kid nearby, and I wanted to be anywhere else. Then a text from Natalie slid up on the screen, finally leveled the playing field. You can always crash on my couch. I didn't reply. I didn't call back. I just smiled. Because the house they sold wasn't really mine, not in the way they thought. People think being a real estate agent means gliding through glossy kitchens and sipping lattes at open houses. In reality, it's basements that smell like mildew, roofs that sigh when the wind shifts, and clients who fall in love with houses they can't afford, but it teaches you one thing: never let someone else hold your keys. My sister Natalie never learned that lesson. She was the fire in the family. I was the extinguisher. Every emergency, every overdue bill, every new crisis landed in my lap. At 26, she had a shiny car, 5 maxed out cards, and the kind of Instagram that looked like a champagne commercial for denial. And every time the walls started closing in, my parents bailed her out, usually with my help. Ben's good with numbers, Mom would say, like that made me her personal bailout fund. So when I bought my house, I didn't put it under my name. I put it under an LLC. Willow Pine Holdings. LLC, a boring name for a brilliant plan. I leased the house through it, held an option to buy at a locked-in price, and ran it as a legal Airbnb between my own stays. The cash flow was clean, the taxes low, and my name was nowhere on the title. I didn't do it to hide anything. I did it because I knew what my family was capable of. Still, part of me hoped I was being paranoid. Until now, because while I was watching sunsets in Maui, my parents and Natalie were in a diner 3 time zones away, sliding a Zillow printout of my house across a Formica table to a man in a golf shirt. They told him I was unavailable. He asked if I owned it. Mom said it's his house. He printed a cheap deed template, and my mother signed my name in block letters. My dad witnessed. Natalie filmed a boomerang with the caption, "Sold. Family teamwork." He wired $380,000 to their joint account. They paid off Natalie's $214,000 debt, bought new tires, paid off Dad's car, even set aside a little for Benjamin to get back on his feet. They sold what they didn't own. They forged what they didn't understand. And the best part? The beer didn't buy a house. He bought a lawsuit. I landed the next morning. I didn't go home to unpack. I went straight to my property. There was a moving truck in the driveway. My mom in church sandals was directing workers like a general. When she saw me, she smiled. There he is. We were worried you'd miss us. Miss what? I asked. The handoff. New owner wants to start renovations immediately. The new owner, the same man in the golf shirt, was snapping pictures by the fireplace. He didn't know yet, but he was standing in the middle of a ticking bomb labeled fraudulent conveyance. Everyone, I said quietly. Living room. Now they followed, all confidence and entitlement. Completely unaware that their victory lap was about to become evidence, we sat in the living room like a family in a bad commercial, Mom perched on the couch with her ankles crossed, Dad standing with his hands in his pockets like a foreman about to demand a thank you. Natalie scrolling her phone like she was bored of the drama she caused. The beer leaned against the mantel. Half listening, half smug. Mom started first. We made a tough call, she said with that bright, brittle cheer she uses when she knows she's wrong. But family comes first. You sold a house that doesn't belong to you, I said. Her smile twitched. Don't be childish, Benjamin. Everyone knows it's your house. No, I said. It's a property owned by Willow Pine Holdings, LLC. My LLC. It's under a master lease with an option to purchase. The title doesn't have my name anywhere. What you sold is nothing. The beer's head snapped toward me. Natalie rolled her eyes. Oh my God, Ben, nobody cares about your little paperwork games. Did you pay off your debt with the wire? I asked her. Her chin lifted. Yes. How much? I don't have to tell you that. You do, I said quietly, because using money from a fraudulent sale makes you complicit. Dad stepped forward. Watch your tone. I met his eyes. No, you watch yours. He blinked. Mom jumped in, her voice syrupy. Benjamin, we saved your credit. We got you out from under that mortgage. There was no mortgage, I said. There was income. Airbnb bookings through October. You canceled them all. That's thousands in losses. The beer cleared his throat. Look, we can unwind this if you should unwind this, I interrupted, turning to him. And call your attorney before you record anything, because if you cloud my title, I'll come for your E&O insurance, and I will not settle. His smirk fell like a dropped glass. He muttered, this is a family matter, and slipped outside to take a panicked call. Mom's voice dropped to that sharp whisper she saves for public embarrassment. We did what had to be done? Natalie was drowning. I stared at them both. You didn't save her. You taught her that she can light fires, and you'll burn my house to put them out. Natalie laughed. You're so dramatic. Not dramatic. I said. Documented. Mom stood up, trembling. You're being cruel. No, I said softly. I'm being clear. Dad tried to reassert control. You can get out of this house right now if you're going to talk to us like that. I almost smiled. I already did, and then I walked out, leaving them all sitting there in the silence of a deal they didn't understand. A deal that was about to boomerang back with the full force of the law. The next 48 hours were a crash course in poetic justice. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I went to my office, closed the blinds, and called my paralegal friend. She, the calmest woman I know and the human version of a legal flamethrower, walk me through it, she said. Notebook ready. I laid it all out. The fake deed, the wire transfer, the diner meeting, the forged signature, the beer's boomerang post. Every last screenshot? She wrote until the page looked like a detective's wall. Names, arrows, dates, bank routes. Then she looked up and said, they didn't sell your house, Ben. They sold a lawsuit. Let's make sure they feel the difference. By noon, we had 3 documents ready. An affidavit of fraud, filed with the county recorder to freeze the title. A cease and desist sent to the beer, warning him that if he tried to record anything, I'd file for damages. A letter of demand sent to my parents, formally instructing them to preserve all records of the transaction and warning that any further interference would constitute criminal fraud. No yelling. No insults. Just black ink and signatures. The beer folded first. He called that night. Voice small. I just wanted to help them. They said you were struggling. No, I said. You wanted a cheap flip and you didn't check the title. My attorney says I should return the funds, he muttered. I smiled. That's the smartest thing you've said all week. He wired back the $380,000 2 days later. The recorder rejected his fake deed. The county flagged the parcel for fraud. The developer emailed me one word: handled. For the first time in a week, I slept, but my parents didn't. Wednesday morning, 6 missed calls. 3 voicemails, a perfect emotional gradient: guilt, anger, and threat. Voicemail 1, you're misunderstanding. We did this for you. Call me back. Voicemail 2, our pastor says you're being prideful. Benjamin. Voicemail 3, if you don't talk to us, we'll tell people what really happened. I saved them all to a folder labeled documentation. That night, Natalie posted an Instagram story flipping her hair, captioned haters gonna hate. Someone DM'd it to me with the message, your sister okay? I typed, define okay, then deleted it. Friday morning, Dad showed up at my office unannounced, nostrils flaring, ready to straighten his son out. She intercepted him like a velvet wall. He blustered. I need to speak to Benjamin. She smiled sweetly. He's not available, but you're on record in a fraud case. Please put anything in writing. He blinked like the word fraud had a taste, then turned and left without another word. That weekend, I drove to the house. 3 weeks passed. Silence, then bursts of noise. 17 texts in a day, then none for 3 days, then 8 in 2 hours. The family group chat was still buzzing without me. Mostly Natalie playing victim and Mom rewriting history like she always did. My cousin Jacob sent a screenshot once. Mom, Benjamin's turned cold. Natalie, he's a landlord leech. Aunt Robin, but he has so much. He could spare a little. I didn't respond. Not a word. I'd stopped explaining myself to people committed to misunderstanding me. Then Sunday came. Dad texted at 3:14 p.m. We're eating at 6. You should be here. Not a request, an order. And I knew if I didn't show up, they'd spin it as proof I'd changed. So I went. Not to reconcile, to close the chapter. When I walked in, it was like walking into a Norman Rockwell painting staged by guilt. Roast chicken, candles, the good plates. Mom smiled like it hurt her face. Dad poured water with ceremony. Natalie scrolled at the end of the table, phone screen lighting her smirk. Good, Dad said. Sit. I sat. Mom dove right in. We've been thinking, she began, the most dangerous sentence in our family. We realized we might have been rash, but the bills are real. Natalie's apartment is too expensive. She can't move because of her lease, so we came up with a plan. I raised my hand. Stop. Her eyes narrowed. Excuse me. There's no plan, I said calmly. Not with me in it. Dad's hand slammed the table, rattling the plates. Watch your mouth in my house. I met his stare. Then talk to me like an adult in mine. His jaw twitched. I'm not co-signing anything. I continued. Not paying her rent. Not selling anything. Not joining any meeting where I'm outvoted 3-1 and told it's love. Natalie scoffed. So, you're just going to let your sister drown? She's not drowning, I said. She's swimming in a pool she can't afford and yelling at the lifeguard. Mom gasped. How dare you? Easily, I said, because I tried kindness. I tried quiet. I tried small loans. All it did was drag me into your chaos. So now I'm trying boundaries. Dad leaned forward. You're ungrateful. For what? I asked. For driving her everywhere as a teen. For the years of being told to be the bigger person. For the house you illegally sold. Mom's voice cracked. We were saving you. I looked at them both, and at Natalie, who'd gone very still, her phone now face down on the table. You weren't saving me, I said quietly. You were erasing me. Silence? You could hear the clock ticking like a metronome for their disbelief. I pushed back my chair. I'll always answer if someone's sick, but I'm not your emergency fund. Not anymore, Natalie snapped. So you're just walking away? Yes, I said simply. From this, and I did. The door clicked shut behind me, and for the first time in 32 years, I didn't look back. My phone buzzed in the car. 5 calls, then 10, then 33. I turned it face down, let it ring. By morning, there was one message from Mom. I don't recognize you. I sipped my coffee and said aloud, me neither, and for the first time, it felt good. It's been 6 months. The noise faded the way storms always do, slowly, then all at once. Mom still sends articles about forgiveness. I archive them. Dad only texts when he wants mortgage rate updates. I answer him like I would any client. Concise, professional, detached. Natalie rebranded herself online as an accountability coach. Her new bio says healing through honesty. I didn't comment. The truth is, I'm not angry anymore. Just done. I exercised the purchase option on the house. Quietly, cleanly. The deed now says Willow Pine Holdings LLC. And under that, my signature, it's mine for real now. No big furniture. 1 couch. 1 chair. A lamp that throws warm light on the walls at night. A coffee table I built myself, uneven but sturdy. I sit under the same string lights that once flickered over a fake for sale and think, peace doesn't look like winning. It looks like quiet. Sometimes I'll get a missed call from Mom. No panic anymore. Just a notification. She dropped off a lasagna on my doorstep once. I didn't open the door, but I texted her, thank you. I took a slice to the park the next day and ate it on a bench. Kids were playing. Someone's dog stole a sandwich. It was ordinary and perfect. That's what closure really is. Not slamming doors or revenge posts, but choosing silence and keeping it. I still love my family. I just don't fund them. If that makes me the villain in their story, I'm fine with that because I finally have a home that's not just a property, it's a boundary. And for the first time in my life, that boundary holds. I'm Benjamin. I sell homes for a living. But this one, this piece, I built for myself. Peace has a strange weight to it. It's not heavy like guilt or grief. It's light but dense like air after a storm. Thick with oxygen and silence. 3 months after buying the house outright, I'd almost forgotten what adrenaline felt like. No more surprise calls. No more forged signatures. Just work, quiet, and coffee that didn't go cold while I handled someone else's crisis. Until one morning in early spring, I was in my office sorting contracts when my receptionist buzzed me. Ben, there's someone here asking for you. Says it's urgent. I stepped into the lobby, and there she was, Natalie. Same overdone makeup, same expensive purse, but thinner. Her confidence had shrunk into something desperate. Hey, Benny. She gave a shaky smile. You look good, Natalie. My voice came out neutral. The way I talk to clients, I don't plan to take. What's going on? I need to talk to you privately. We went into the conference room. She didn't sit, just paced like a wind-up toy running down. So she said, forcing a laugh, you probably heard. My lease is up, my car got repossessed, and Mom and Dad are. You know, still mad about the whole misunderstanding, forgery, and theft. I corrected gently. She winced. Right, that. Look, I know you're angry, but I'm really trying to fix things. I got a new job. Commission-based, flexible hours. I just need a place to stay for a few months. There it was. The ask. Always an ask. I folded my hands. Nat, I'm glad you're working, but you can't stay with me. Her face crumpled like I'd slapped her. You'd let your sister be homeless. No, I said calmly. You made sure I'd never be anyone's safety net again. She tried to smirk, but it broke halfway. So that's it. You're done with family. I took a breath, steady and slow. No, I'm done being their fallback plan. She stared at me for a long moment, eyes glossy with something between rage and disbelief. Then she whispered, "You've changed." "I know," I said. When she left, she slammed the glass door hard enough to make my pens jump. I sat there, heart pounding but steady, not from anger, but from something close to grief, because endings don't always feel like victories. Sometimes they just feel like you finally stopped drowning. That night, I watered the fern on my desk and turned off the lights. I drove home to my quiet house, sat under the string lights, and watched them sway. Peace flickered like it might leave, but it stayed. A week after Natalie's visit, the envelope showed up. No return address, just my name in my mother's looping cursive, the kind that used to sign field trip forms and now looked like a threat. I stood in my kitchen, turning it over in my hands. Thin paper. Heavy silence. I should have thrown it away. IDIDN single quotes T. Inside was a single handwritten letter on flowery stationery. The first line almost made me laugh. Benjamin, your father and I have decided to forgive you. Forgive me. For what exactly? For being robbed? For protecting my own property? For daring to live without funding their emergencies? I kept reading. Family is about unity, not contracts. You embarrassed us by involving lawyers. You humiliated your sister by making her return money she didn't have. You've let pride poison you. We hope you find your way back to grace. Folded inside was a church pamphlet, Financial Healing Through Faith. I stood there, leaning against the counter, the letter in one hand and the pamphlet in the other, and felt the strangest mix of sadness and relief. Because once upon a time, that letter would have gutted me. I would have written back, defended myself, sent receipts, begged to be understood. Now I just smiled, folded it neatly, and filed it under documentation. Same as the voicemails. That night, I sat under the backyard lights again, the letter burning faintly in my memory like static. She called while I was there. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Just reading old stories that forgot how they end. You know you don't have to keep their stuff, right?" "I know," I said. "But one day, when they say I made it all up, I'll have proof." She laughed softly. "That's very you. Ben, a piece and evidence." "Yeah," I said, smiling. "That's the new brand." A breeze lifted the edge of the letter on the table. I picked it up, looked at the neat, looping signature, "Love, Mom," and thought about how people say that word like it erases everything before it. Then I set it in the metal bowl on the patio, struck a match, and watched it curl into ash. Smoke rose, thin and clean, and for the first time, it didn't smell like guilt. It smelled like closure. It happened on a Tuesday. The kind of ordinary day that starts with emails and ends up rewriting everything. My office was quiet. Late afternoon light spilling through the blinds. When my phone buzzed with a name I hadn't seen in months, Dad, I almost ignored it. But curiosity, or maybe old muscle memory, won. Ben, his voice was softer than I remembered. "I, need to ask a favor." Of course. There it was again, the old rhythm. Need, ask, favor. What's going on? I said, cautious. He hesitated. "We're selling the house." Their house, I thought. The one I grew up in. Peeling porch paint, slanted mailbox, my initials carved into the garage beam when I was 10. "It's too much upkeep," he said. "Your mom can't manage it anymore." I waited for the pitch. He came, predictably. "I know you're good with this stuff. Thought maybe you could handle the sale. Keep it in the family." There was something in his tone I hadn't heard in years. Not command, not guilt. Just weariness. "Why me?" I asked. "You've got plenty of friends who are agents." He sighed. "Because you do things right." That line hit harder than I expected. For a moment, I saw him as he used to be, standing in our old kitchen, showing me how to change a fuse, his hands steady, his voice proud. Before the debts, before Natalie's rescues, before everything warped. I didn't answer right away. "I can list it," I said finally. but I'll do it my way. No family meetings. No surprises. You and Mom sign, I handle the rest. He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for a year. Fair enough. Son, send me the details, I said, and hung up. That night, I drove past the old place. The porch light was still on, that same weak yellow bulb that buzzed in summer and flickered in storms. Mom was inside, sitting at the table by the window. Not looking out, not waiting, just small, folded into her own quiet. I didn't knock. I didn't want to, but as I drove away, I realized something strange. I wasn't angry anymore. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want an apology. I just wanted to do this one last thing right. Not for them. For me. Because peace isn't the absence of family. It's knowing you can walk back into the story without losing yourself in it. The paperwork was simple, ironic, really, considering what my family once did to mine. I listed the old house at a fair price. Nothing flashy, no charming potential spin, just honest photos and a note. Well cared for by the same family for 30 years. Within a week, we had an offer. A young couple. Teacher and paramedic. First-time buyers. Nervous, excited, exactly the kind of people who reminded me why I still loved my job. I scheduled the closing at my office. Mom and Dad came together, quieter than I'd ever seen them. No matching guilt, no speeches. Just tired people holding on to the last thing that once held them. Mom didn't meet my eyes when she signed. Her hand shook a little. When it was over, I slid the final page toward them. That's it, I said softly. You're free and clear. Dad nodded, voice low. Thank you, son. For a moment, we just sat there in the quiet hum of the fluorescent light. Three people who had finally run out of storms. Then Mom spoke. I saw the lights on at your place the other night, she said, almost wistful. It looked peaceful. It is, I said. She nodded once. Good, that was it. No apology, no hug. But somehow, it was enough. The couple arrived, bright-eyed and shaking with joy. I handed them the keys and smiled. Welcome home. As they left, Mom whispered, You used to say that to me when you were little. Every time I came home from work. I remember, I said. When they walked out, I didn't feel triumph or bitterness, just release. That evening, I drove home. The sun was low, brushing gold across the string lights in my backyard. I opened a bottle of wine, sat under their glow, and listened to the hum of crickets. For the first time, it didn't feel like a boundary or a barricade. It felt like a bridge between who I'd been and who I'd finally become. I raised my glass toward the dark horizon, where my family's house used to be more myth than home. Welcome home, I said again, this time to myself, because I was.